Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So today we are going to talk about the best steroids for muscle hardening, but before we get into that I have to reiterate that I am not a doctor, so anything I say in these videos is for your entertainment purposes only. What you do with this information is completely and utterly up to you, and I am not advising nor condoning you to use any of the things that we discuss in any way, shape, or form. So we are going to talk about the best steroids for muscle hardening. Now this is my list as we discuss. This one is It's easy to pick out the top five, and in fact, there's two on here that I have to leave off that I'm going to give an honorable mention to in just a second. And it's quite easy to pick the top five, and you'll see why. However, putting them in any sort of order is very difficult. It's going to be completely subjective, and it's like razor thin, 1 through 4 especially. I mean, to separate these is just it's just pulling teeth, to be honest with you. It's the littlest, slightest things, and you could argue one above the other. And I guarantee in the comment, well, that's wrong. This. Look, they're this close. Okay, I'm just giving you a list. Basically, I'm gonna try to rank them, but they're like it's tooth and nail. So anyway, honorable mention: Proviron and Primobolan. I hate leaving Primobolan off any list, but I can't put it on this one. You'll see why. Proviron also excellent for muscle hardening. We both know. So those are like. We'll say 5B and 5C, with Primo being 5B and Proviron being 5C. Okay, so they're still excellent for muscle hardening. And I also want to bring up the SARM S4, which is tremendous for muscle hardening as well. So that would make, obviously, the SARMs list for sure, and that would definitely be included in a muscle hardening stack, even if you're stacking it with steroids. So I wanted to throw that in there as well. So let's go down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Number 5, Anavar. Anavar is, as we know, great for finishing off a cycle. Great, in my top 5 cutting steroids, as you've seen that video as well. Anavar really can target, and I've explained this several times, it's not some big fat loss drug. When I say it targets stubborn belly fat areas and fat, different sites, on your body that are holding more fat, Anavar is really good at targeting those areas, okay? And it is good at muscle hardening. It's not as good as some of the other counterparts that we're going to see, but it definitely deserves to be on this list, hands down. We know Anavar is not one of my favorite compounds at all, but I am always fair when I give my assessment of it on what it's capable of doing, and I will not deny that for muscle hardening, and in this regard, it does belong on this list. So Anavar would come in at number 5. Now here's where things start to get a little tricky, because they're so close, the next 4. I'm actually going to go with Winstrol, number 4. Now, it's hard for me, especially considering Winstrol and Primobolan are my 2 favorite compounds. But Winstrol is just going to be a slightly lower than the next 3, and you'll understand why when we get to them. But Winstrol definitely excellent for muscle hardening, excellent for vascularity. The thing about Winstrol is you can actually get a little bit more size on it than some of the other ones. Well, the next one, that's arguable, but the other 4, and you're not going to blow up on Winstrol, but you can definitely add more lean muscle. One thing about Winstrol that you're going to love is that you'll start to see vascularity in veins in areas that you didn't know even possible for most people, which makes it really nice. But, Winstrol is very good at aesthetics, very good at the muscle hardening, so definitely is on this list and debatable moving it up a little bit. But I think when you hear the next 3, you'll understand why I put it and rounded it in at number 4. Number 3, Trenbolone. Trenbolone, you could argue it to be number 1, I guess, even on this list. But I think when you see 2 and 1, you'll understand why I put it at 3. Tren, king of steroids, we know that. Everybody knows it's a favorite amongst many. Everybody also knows that it carries a tremendous amount of side effects. One thing about Tren is the nutrient partitioning, which makes you able to, I never advise nor condone, eating like crap on a cycle, but you can get away with more on your diet in terms of maybe slipping a little bit or cheating a little bit. I don't advise it. I am simply giving you a fact that you could get away with a little more there because of the nutrient partitioning abilities. But Tren is excellent for muscle hardening. Many people use it pre-contest. One of the most popular pre-contest cycles out there. Test, Tren, Masteron. I don't know that I really need to touch and go even further into it. We know how excellent Tren is for muscle hardening and everything else that it does as well. Cutting, strength. Some people say they bulk on it. I've never found it to be very good for that, and most people don't unless they're running another bulking compound with it. However, for this particular video and putting it in a muscle hardening category, I think it goes without saying it absolutely belongs in the top 5. So, number 2 and number 1, I mean, we are splitting hairs here. And I'm putting something number 1 here that I generally don't recommend people to use. Okay, but it deserves to be number 1. So number 2, Masteron. Now Masteron is known mainly as an aesthetic. Some people don't understand. They've commented to me, what's an aesthetic? Well, an aesthetic is something that sculpts your body, makes it aesthetically pleasing. Aesthetics are when you're more defined, more cut, etc. And Masteron is known as a king in that regard. Okay, you want to talk about muscle hardening and looking like a sculpture made out of ice. Well, Masteron can do that for you. Don't expect to keep any of that once you come off of it, but at the time, while you're using Masteron, if you want to sculpt your body, all right, Masteron's the way to go. And it's really light on side effects as well, which makes it more desirable and excellent to use. So Masteron definitely belongs on this list. It's very, very difficult for me to not put Masteron number 1. It truly is. But we're going to go ahead and put it at number 2 because I have to be honest with you. Number 1, something I rarely recommend people to use, but for muscle hardening, halotestin. Halotestin for muscle hardening. If you want to talk about being as hard as nails, you're looking at halotestin. The problem with halotestin is it's so harsh. And like if you're running tren, you don't want to run halo with tren. That's just a bad idea. You talk about aggression and things of that nature. But if we're strictly talking about what belongs on this list, you use halotestin, you talk to me about strength, aggression, and muscle hardening, and you will see that halotestin will shine above all of the others. It is just insane when it comes to how hard that it can make you. But it's also insane on how rough and toxic and difficult it is to even complete a cycle with it is. It's not something I generally recommend, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of being honest, for the sake of giving you straight facts, that would be number 1, halotestin. So that's my list. Some of you are going to love it. Some of you are going to come up and write in the comments with your own list, and that's cool. That's what life is all about. Comparisons, discussions, etc. But for me, and being forced really to make this video, to break it down, I had to put them in some sort of order. And for me, that's the order that I believe that they go in. So, that being said, www.icearms.com/forums. I'm also on the Evolutionary Forum as well as the Elite Fitness Forum. You can also email me, Dylan@icearms.com, with all questions and comments. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.